Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com. Recently I did a talk on 16 works for string orchestra I couldn't live without, one of which was Lou Harrison's Suite for Symphonic Strings, or Symphonic Suite for Strings. What the heck is this thing called? Suite for Symphonic Strings. There we go. And in case you're having a problem finding it, you want to, it's on this splendid disc from Mode Records. Lou Harrison's music for strings, or some of it, not all of it, I guess, because there's more. But the basic works for strings, for string ensembles, and oh my, are they interesting and fun. And I thought that we really ought to talk about the whole disc. The Mode label, by the way, is a contemporary music specialty label. It has some absolutely superb recordings of very interesting composers, including Morton Feldman and Chelsea and all of those fun people. They have a website. It's let's see, www.mode.com. That's not hard to remember, is it? So go over and have a look at what they've got. You really should. They deserve your support. And if you're interested in contemporary music, there's tons of stuff that you'll find interesting. Anyway, here we have three works. First, the Suite for Symphonic Strings. Well, it's not the first thing because they're in chronological order, but it's on here. Now, the Suite for Symphonic Strings has 9 movements. It's a big work, and it basically summarizes all of Harrison's previous life. He took some other pieces he wrote from everywhere from the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and stuffed them all in here. It's 37 minutes long. It's unbelievably eclectic in style, which is what makes it so wonderful, I think. It begins with one of his estampes, which is a medieval dance, and then there's a chorale, a gnarly double fugue that's quite chromatic and interesting. And then a ductia, which is another medieval dance thing, a lament, canonic variations. Bach wrote some of those, remember? On Von Himmel hoch. And a little fugue, a round of honor of Hermes, and finally a concluding nocturne. And it's a big, unexpected jumble of a piece, full of really arresting ideas. And, it's so wonderfully inclusive. That's what Harrison was. Harrison was one of those guys who just was inspired by everything and world music and you name it. And he has his works reflect that. The first piece is his Suite Number 2 for strings from 1948. And it is a somewhat modernist, gnarly piece. All of his music fundamentally is either purely rhythmic, as in percussive, or lyrical with rhythmic underpinnings. And this work is no exception, although it's short. It's only 11 minutes long and 3 movements. It may be the toughest piece on the disc, but everything he does is rewarding and purposeful. He's not grasping things. He's expressing something that fascinates him and that sort of demands to be heard. I don't know how else to describe him, because he's like Poulenc in the sense that he can take from anywhere he wants and have it all work, have it all come out sounding somehow coherent. And, it does. And the last work, this is fascinating. It's his Concerto for Pipa with String Orchestra, which is a big work from 1997, 27 minutes long. It's a big thing. And a pipa, in case you didn't know, is a Chinese lute. And it's a wonderful instrument. It's extremely versatile. It's big and bold and can do all kinds of wonderful things. And this begins with an allegro. And then there's a big movement called Bits and Pieces, in which the pipa is asked to show its own international credentials. The bits and pieces include a troika, where it has to imitate a balalaika, 3 sharing, which is actually a percussion piece, basically, but for a couple of solo strings with the pipa doing interesting rhythmic stuff, and then Wind and Plum, which explores the instrument's Chinese roots, and finally Neapolitan, where it's sort of like a mandolin sort of thing. It's absolutely wonderful. It's just so much fun to hear him, put the instrument through its paces. Then there's a Threnody for Richard Locke, one of many memorial pieces that he did that are often exceptionally beautiful, and this is no exception. It's a wonderfully melodic and lovely piece, sad but extremely attractive and warm. And then finally, another stampede, one of those dance things, which provides an extremely virtuosic conclusion. And it's a big movement. Like I said, the work is 26 minutes long, so it's very serious. The pipa player is Wu Min. Did I get that right? Wu Man. There we go. I have to get the tiny type. Wu Man, for whom the work was written and who gave the premiere. And the ensemble is the New Professionals Orchestra of London under Rebecca Miller, who some of you may have heard of. She's a fine conductor. And it's just a lovely recording. It was made in 2004, according to this. And I really strongly recommend, if you like works for strings or string orchestra, string ensemble, that you give this a shot. I mean, Lou Harrison was a major, major voice in 20th century music, and his work deserves to be heard and collected and savored and enjoyed. And I think you will enjoy this. It's quite special. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.